Dritan, I do want to pivot just a little bit, talk about one of the top issues, which is the economy and voter sentiment surrounding it. You have some numbers regarding this. What are they?
Well, perceptions on the economy are fairly negative. Only about 3 in 10 voters think that the economy is strong today. Close to half of all voters feel that their financial situation is getting worse rather than improving or staying the same. If you look at polling, historically, the 2 biggest predictors of performance at the ballot box are your job approval numbers and that question around, are you better off or worse off financially today than you were before? And both of those are essentially fairly negative numbers for President Biden and do not bode well for his re-election chances.
By most metrics, though, the economy is doing better now than it was a year ago, so why aren't voters feeling this way?
It takes time to merge the gap between perceptions and reality. The other thing is that also the economic green shoots that we've seen, the positive signals that we've seen, haven't been very consistent. And really the big challenge is inflation. We asked the question together with the editorial staff at Forbes, which is, how would you spend an extra $500 if that extra $500 was made available to you? And the top answer was groceries. That's striking. So voters wouldn't spend it on discretionary spending, whether for fun or other things, but they would actually spend it on food. And it makes sense. Voters are now starting to notice that the price of food, whether it's the milk carton or anything else, has risen fairly significantly, and that's in large part due to inflation. And that's a very difficult issue to address because the administration doesn't control interest rates, and obviously inflation is a very complex issue to tackle. It has to do with everything from spending all the way down to those interest rates.
You did mention that lag time where it takes sentiment around the economy to catch up, about 6 to 12 months. As you and I are sitting here right now, we're 8 months from the election. So is that potentially good news for President Biden?
I mean, under normal circumstances, if you had a president that is able to get out there on the stump and talk about the economy and change the sentiment, it could possibly be. I'm thinking about Bill Clinton reviving his electoral challenges after 1994, 1995, and winning in 1996. It's yet to be seen. I think there's a lot of focus on the president's State of the Union speech. That could be a pivot moment when it comes to his messaging on the economy. And then it's something that has to be closely monitored because the president is so old and because it seems like the momentum is not with him.
I've been really fortunate. I've got to travel the country from Iowa, Pennsylvania, everywhere in between, talking to voters. And one thing that is a constant theme, a thread if you will, is that voters are not happy with the size of their wallet, the price of groceries, the price of everyday items. And President Biden put his name in his economic policy, Bidenomics. Is Bidenomics a strong pitch?
It's not. And we asked the question point blank. Do you feel that Bidenomics has led to you being better off or worse off? And net, people say actually it's made us worse off. And that's a problem for the administration. At a minimum, they have to rebrand Bidenomics, possibly as something else, in order to make it more palatable for the electorate.